I know that I'm speaking to a group of crime victim advocates who have a lot of experience and expertise, but generally speaking, most other people, when they hear the words crime victim and legal needs, immediately think criminal justice system. They immediately think police, DA's office, evidence, prosecution of the case. And they may not realize that in many cases, the crime is either never reported, or even if it is reported, may not get prosecuted. And even if they are, a lot of the needs that the crime victims have aren't necessarily met through the criminal intervention. So many people, and when I mention this, I also include civil legal attorneys and criminal attorneys as well. They don't realize that a crime victim has civil legal needs. And by civil legal, I just mean non-criminal needs. They might not realize that their problems that a crime victim has may have a civil legal solution. So I wanted to spend just a little time talking about some real cases that can help demonstrate how some of the problems that a crime victim faces can be resolved through civil law. And I'm going to need your help with this. And this is the interactive portion of the training. So here's the first case, here's the first example that I have, and I think most of you might be familiar with this situation. It's a single mother who is the victim of intimate partner violence. Think about what are some of the issues or concerns that she may have as a result of being a victim of IPV. And I mean, you could use the chat box and you could type those in, and also include if that problem can be resolved with a civil legal solution. And like, for example, the main concern, I think, is safety for herself, safety for her children. And that could possibly be resolved through filing a family offense petition and getting an order of protection. Can you think of other issues or concerns that might arise in this situation that has civil legal solutions? And please use the chat box. Repeating myself, like, what are some of the issues or concerns that may arise in this situation for the client? And do these issues have a civil legal solution? So we've got some problems like transportation, childcare, homelessness, healthcare, finding a new place to live, rent. Absolutely. Absolutely. So think about those. Those are some of the issues that she has. And what are the possible civil legal solutions? Are there civil legal solutions to them? Immigration, someone mentioned immigration's concerns, fear of losing her children, custody and visitation. Absolutely. So yes, if there's a child in common, there may be issues involved with child custody, child support, visitation, and those all have civil legal solutions. An issue someone mentioned, housing and rent. It could be if they're sharing an apartment together. There might be issues regarding lease termination that has civil legal solutions. If there's issues regarding shared assets, what do they do if they share a house together? What do they do if they share a car together? What if the abuser has accumulated debt in her name? Those are issues that an attorney could help financially. Yep, I'm seeing solutions through family court, orders of protection, medical treatment. She might need that. A lot of these things can be resolved through civil legal intervention. While some things, like someone mentioned trauma that someone receives, might have a non-legal solution, but legal intervention may be utilized to help them get that intervention. Let's look at the next example. Thank you for that. Thank you for all those great responses. The next example situation I encountered a couple of years ago when we were doing our needs assessment. It was an immigrant student, graduate student, and his apartment was broken into. And amongst all the items that were stolen was his laptop. Like, I don't know if the laptop was the most expensive item that was taken, but it was definitely the most valuable because it contained the only copy of the data that he needed for his graduate school research. So again, using the chat box, what are some of the civil legal issues that you think could possibly arise from this situation with this particular victim of crime? And do you think there's a civil legal solution for that too? Include that in there. Someone mentioned stolen identity, safety, school eligibility, great answers, loss of student visa, risk of deportation. Yep, access to passwords and social accounts. Safety, new locks or replaced doors, absolutely. So that raises landlord-tenant issues. If he's on a student visa and he needs more time to redo the research, what does that mean? Does it mean that he needs an extension? Does he have immigration issues resulting in that? And there's definitely financial issues. There's the loss of a laptop. There's a loss of other items. How is that resolved? Thank you for your answers. Thank you for your participation. The last example I have is about a single adult male who was a victim of a shooting. He was also someone that I met during our needs assessment. He was painting his home inside his house, maybe doing some repairs. Someone rang the doorbell, and when he answered the door, they shot him. And as a result, he permanently lost the use of his legs. Now, using the chat box again, what do you think are some of the possible issues that someone in that situation could face? And are there possible civil legal solutions to that? Disability, hospital bills, continued employment, order of protection, these are great. Medical care, loss of income, transportation, financial loss, loss of valuables, disability. Awesome. Yeah, he definitely needed medical insurance. He needed some health law intervention. He lost his job. He did lose his job, and he needed assistance with public assistance eligibility. He needed legal help with that. He now needs a wheelchair, which meant he couldn't live where he was had been living, and needed a home that was wheelchair accessible. And yes, need for trauma counseling. He was permanently disabled, and he definitely needed access to mental health services. Thank you for this. This was wonderful. These are just some of the cases that highlight the various civil legal needs that a person who becomes a victim of a crime may have. And some of these issues that the crime victims face may have non-legal solutions, but many have legal solutions. You know, financial, health, housing, education, employment, immigration, family, safety, identity theft, medical bills. These are just some of the issues that crime victims face. And I don't know about you, but I think I've definitely had a domestic violence victim who's had almost all of these issues at the same time. I want you to keep in mind, though, that even if you're working with clients who are not victims of domestic violence, they also are experiencing these sort of issues, and their issues may have civil legal solutions to it. So it's really important to really holistically address these issues so that they can get the services they need. What you basically did with those three examples were issue spot. You were issue spotting so that you could help provide for the holistic needs of your client. So thank you for doing that. And I don't know if all civil legal attorneys or all criminal lawyers are actually doing this with their clients, and that's one of the things we're trying to really encourage. So let's spend a little time talking about the New York Crime Victims Legal Network. So some of you are familiar with this, but in case you are not, the New York Crime Victims Legal Network was established to help connect victims of crime to civil legal assistance. The 4 organizations that are listed here, Office of Victim Services, Pro Bono Net, Empire Justice Center, and the Center for Human Services Research, they're all funded under a federal Office for Victims of Crime grant, and we've been working for the past about 3.5 years now to develop the network and its website. We were guided by a group of advisory committee members from across the state, wonderful set of individuals with diverse expertise and experience who've been advising us right from the start, and they're listed here as well. So New York Crime Victims Legal Help is the network's online resource. It's our website. It was developed to provide crime victims with civil legal information and connect them with assistance. So development of this website was the primary goal of the network. Just to make sure you understand, New York Crime Victims Legal Network, I think of it as the people. And Crime Victims Legal Help is the technology. So those two things work together. The technology has been about 3 years in the making. We started by doing a comprehensive needs assessment back in 2016, and I think many of your organizations, and perhaps many of you, were actually involved with that needs assessment, the surveys and the focus groups. After doing the needs assessment, we developed an implementation plan for the network and the online resource. And in 2017, we began working on developing the website. In 2018, we developed a prototype of the website, and we did other focus groups as well, and we received more feedback from our community insight group. We then launched the online resource as a pilot in October of 2018 in Erie, Niagara, and Genesee counties. In 2019, we'll be expanding the geographic scope of the network and the website to all regions in New York State outside of New York City. And that's one of the main reasons why we're doing this training. We wanted to prepare everyone for this rollout. Now, right now, the original grant scope, New York City isn't included on it, but we have plans to include New York City after 2019. So this is going to be important to advocacy work in the New York City area as well. The first stage of the statewide rollout, is the first stage of the statewide rollout tentatively is going to be the Albany regions and the Hudson Valley regions. So it's these counties right here, all the way here. That's about 23 counties in addition to the pilot region of Erie, Buffalo, and Niagara. And we're hoping to do this rollout no later than April of this year. And once, I'm going to explain a little bit more what the rollout needs when I show you the website and its features. It'll make more sense there. But I want you to be aware that as OVS case managers, it's important for you to have a good understanding of the network and the website, because you're expected to be a point person or a point of contact between your organization and the network. And OVS is asking you to assist crime victims in accessing services and information through the site, help be their navigator so that they understand the information that's available on the site. So these are some of the main features of the website. Instead of talking about it, I thought it makes more sense if I show them to you and walk you through it. I know I've done this with a couple of groups of people before, so hopefully you've taken a look at the site. And for the rest of you, I hope this is new and interesting. Okay. So Blake, can you see my screen?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, awesome. So this is our homepage. We focus test everything. We focus tested the colors, the images. We really wanted to make sure that the images that were displayed were diverse as possible, yet showed hope, and were not institutional. We're not going to please everyone, but I really hope that people can identify with the images that are here. Everything that's up here on this bar here, you can basically access different ways, including down here and the very bottom here. I love this font size to make it bigger or smaller as needed. And of course, the quick exit bar. This is really important to know that when you exit the site really quickly, it does bring you to this Google screen, but that one arrow can bring you back. This is standard for, and I think even NNEDV site does the same thing. Just if you're working with crime victims, let them know that, for safety reasons, that a quick arrow could take you back to this particular screen. I wanted to show you some of the features of this site. I'm going to start with the Know Your Rights section. This is where most of the legal information and the legal content is on our site. When we did our needs assessment, one of the things that crime victims said is that not a lot of people were telling them about their rights as a crime victim. And I think what it was is we were giving them information, but we're not stating it in language of these are your rights. These are your rights as a victim of domestic violence. These are your rights as a victim of crime. So we deliberately named this Know Your Rights and have information about their rights in various civil legal areas. The areas that we selected, money, finance, family issues, housing, employment, and immigration, were based on the needs assessment. Crime victims identified money, family, housing, employment as some of their top concerns, and immigration was identified by service providers as being a very important issue that we should address as well. So we have information on all that in here. I want you to know a couple of things about this. We tried to keep this language as simple as possible and really reduce legalese. It's still currently at a 9th or 10th grade reading level. We have plans to get it translated, if you will, into plain language so it reads at a 6th grade reading level. There are going to be sections, like the immigration section, that I think even it's going to be really hard to make it into a 6th grade reading level. But we're trying to make it as simple as possible for people could understand. We also do not want to be, we had no intention of being the be-all and end-all of all information. There's a lot of great resources and information out there. So as much as possible, we provided little information on these pages and then linked out to other resources. So we linked out to your rights under federal law. We linked out to finding out about criminal court order protection. Primarily because this site is about civil legal needs, we have very little information about criminal law. So as much as possible, we try to give other resources, like how to get to criminal court basics are up here. And on each of these pages, in the help with other needs, we have information how to get information on criminal court. So I want to show you some things that might be hard to find. In the victims' rights pages, we have a checklist to help identify whether or not someone is a victim of crime. This is not an all-inclusive list, but it is a checklist that helps people could identify, am I a victim of identity theft? Am I a victim of stalking? Because one of the things we found in the needs assessment is sometimes crime victims don't even know that they're a victim of crime. We also have some information here. Oh yeah, so one of the things that we really wanted to highlight was how to find a crime victim advocate. So on every one of those interior pages, whether it's in the victims or the safety section, you're going to see this navy blue button that takes us into the OVS site page for locate a program near you. So we have some information in terms of what a crime victim advocate does and who they are. And then just by typing your zip code, you could find out the closest advocates near you. I think you're going to get a lot more people contacting you because of this button, because of this site. It's become really popular. We've been directing a lot of people to that. So that's where if you're getting more phone calls, that's probably one of the reasons why. It makes sense. I mean, you probably can get what information is in the family law section: child support, custody, visitation, paternity, divorce. And if you go to some of these sections, as I mentioned before, there might be some information in here that links out to forms, and that could help out your clients. And also there might be some information that will take you to other resources within the site itself. Make sure, so you might want to familiar yourself with what's in the safety section and what's in the DV and other victimization sections, because I think those are not as intuitive. So here we have information on revenge porn, sexual abuse, stalking, elder abuse, and resources related to that. And that's in the domestic violence and other victimization. In the safety section, we have information about orders of protection, address confidentiality, DV shelters and programs, and some of the impact of trauma. Play around with it, find some information. We're still adding to it. I know I want to add some information about domestic violence and pets in shelters. We also want to add some information out on the Child Victims Act that just recently passed. But that's basically what's here in the Know Your Rights section, and I really encourage you to play around with it. The next thing I'm going to mention is the Find Legal Forms section. It's kind of laid out like the Know Your Rights library in terms of the sections and the subtopics here. What's really great about it is it links up to some blank forms that you could print out and fill in and complete. It can also, let's do this, it also can take you to interactive forms or forms that are on the New York Courts website that are called DIY forms and programs. These programs are basically, they're done with Law Help Interactive. They're document compilation programs that are really wonderful. So you could utilize, the clients can utilize this to basically do all their child support or custody paperwork. You could create an account, or you don't have to, and it really helps them do what they need to do in order to get, whether it's support modification or maybe it's a custody modification. There are different forms that are available there on the site. Do take a look at it. The other resource that I want to point out is the Legal Help Directory. Right now, we're still piloting in Erie, Genesee, and Niagara County, and we're going to be expanding, hopefully in April, to about 23 more counties. So right now, only 3 counties are available here in a Tusa location. Once we expand, it's going to be additional 23 counties. But basically, you choose a user of the website. A crime victim can indicate what county they live in and what their legal issue is. And the legal issues here are basically populated by the information that's on our website right now. And then using the information that's on Law Help New York, we've got some results. So our website is kind of linked to the Legal Help Directory in Law Help New York, and that helps populate this site. So a client knows that there are 3 resources here in Erie County that might be able to help them with the divorce, and they could go to that site, find out more information, and even find out more information from the Neighborhood Legal Services site. I think I'm getting some questions. Let me Blake, I'm not able to see them right now because I'm sharing my screen, and I don't have access to the chat features. Do you want to read me the questions?
Yes. Sure. So we have a couple questions, and I'm not sure. Again, everybody, if we can't answer these right away, we'll be happy to issue some sort of written response to this as well. But we've had a couple, and I'm not sure, Remla, if you can answer this or not, but we'll give it a go. Is there a plan to have materials available on the website in languages other than English?
Great question. Yes, there is. So right now, I'd mentioned that the website is in about a 9th or 10th grade reading level. We're trying to get everything translated into plain language, into maybe a 6th grade reading level. And once that happens, we do have plans to utilize, and I know this is not ideal, but a combination of Google Translate as well as live human translation of the site. So it's a matter of being able to get everything done in the most effective manner. Hopefully later in 2019, early 2020, we could get human translation of the site in Spanish, but we might have to use Google Translate in the meantime. I understand the limitation of it. We're actually drafting a section to include on our website to talk about language access rights of the clients and the limitations of these non-human mechanisms to translate sites. But I think it's going to be more accurate using Google Translate once we have this version in simple English. I think the inaccuracies happen when it's in a higher standard of reading. So yes, we do have plans. It might not be right away, but we absolutely do.
Great. We have a question here. Any suggestions for folks who do not have easy access to the internet?
No, actually, I'm not sure if I have an answer to that. I know everything on our site looks the way it does because we're trying to make it easy for people to use it on their mobile devices. It's one of the reasons why this exit site button is rather small, because it looks better on a mobile device when it is small. The bigger the exit button, it does not translate well on a mobile device. But no, we really haven't thought about it in terms of not having internet access. From our needs assessment, it seemed like most people said they have internet access and that they would be utilizing it. So I don't know what else I could say.
Yeah, or possibly use the advocate for their resources. We had another question here. Will there be other sections for victims affected by drunk or drug driving, bereavement and grief, funeral costs, etc.? It seems that this website is geared toward a lot of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Right now, well, two things. Absolutely, we're intending to expand the content of the website. This is not it. This is just the beginning. I tell people that I look at this site and I think of all the things that needs to be added to it, and I only see the imperfections. I'm too close to it. It's still a really good site, but I see the potential in it, and we're going to be expanding the content. Right now, it is geared towards people who are direct victims of crime. I want to include information for people who are secondary victims. So if I lost a loved one to a crime, I want to include information for them. Right now, it's geared toward adult victims of crime. I want to make sure that we include child victims as well. And yes, we've got plans to include other victims of hate crimes, specifically LGBT crimes, maybe victims of other types of crimes. So it depends on, we might have to do, I don't want to talk too much about it, but we might have to prioritize and do another needs assessment to figure out, is the priority mass victims of crime, or is it victims of drunk driving? We'll have to figure it out. Right now, there is some information on the victims' rights page for the restitution and the compensation that may address some of your issues about damages as a result of crimes. And again, but it links out to other resources as well.
Okay, I got a question here. It says you stated that the case managers are the point of contact for the network. Does that mean that we share the information about the website with advocates, or should the advocates be referring their clients to case managers for assistance with navigating the website?
Can you read that again, Blake? And I'm not sure if I have an answer to that.
Yeah, so they're asking, we've indicated that case managers are the point of contact for the civil legal network. Does that mean that the case managers should share information about the website with advocates, or should advocates be referring clients to case managers?
I think if you go back to the PowerPoint, it doesn't say that the case managers are the point of contact. You're a point of contact.
Okay.
So I think it's good for you to have this information, and advocates might be contacting you and saying, hey, I don't know how to help them. Please be a point of contact. Please know this information.
A couple logistical questions. Who can they contact if the contact information for their organization is wrong? And I presume, is that about the OVS content? If you,
I think it's about. Is it about the legal help directory, or is it about the find an advocate near you?
If it's the advocate one, it's the advocate section.
Okay. If it's this section, I'm trying to think where this you would have to contact, I believe, OVS.
Yes. What I'll do is I'll put in the chat function the email address for that for you guys to update any information.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Blake. Did I interrupt?
No, you're fine.
If it's in the legal help directory section, that is, I really encourage you to contact. This is from Law Help New York. This would be the civil legal organizations would need to contact Law Help New York for that.
Great. Let's see here. Are all the legal forms the latest and updated versions?
That is my understanding.
Great. And then a question about the potential. Is there an app for mobile devices, or will you be potentially creating one?
We're not sure yet if we need to create an app. This is an online resource that can be accessed through the internet. So we're not sure whether or not we want to create an app. That's something that it's up in the air.
Great.
All right. I'm going to continue if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So.
And again, just real quick, again, if any questions did go unanswered, we will issue some sort of written answer to many of them in the coming weeks when all of this is published online.
And when we go back to the PowerPoint, I think when people can see the chat, maybe Blake, if you could put in that email contact or how to correct information on the Locata OVS Advocate program.
Great, that's fine. I'll send that in a couple minutes.
Thank you. So I showed you really briefly the Know Your Rights, the Legal Help Directory, and the Find Legal Forms. I want to show you the Get Started tool. There's several ways to get to the Get Started tool. From the home page, this button here, or this big blue button here. And what the Get Started tool is, what I really like about it, it's basically a combination of the Find Legal Forms, the Legal Help Directory, and the Know Your Rights resources all in one. So again, you kind of put in where your county you live in and your legal issue. And then what it does, the resources that comes out basically has information from Know Your Rights section. It has information from the Find Legal Forms, and it has information from the Legal Help Directory, all in one place. So this is actually a really popular way to access the site for a lot of crime victim users. And then again, like I said, you could link from here. Okay, this is good to know. This is a bad link. We'll have to correct that one. And I'm done. Sorry about that. Let's try this. Can you see what's going on with my screen, or did you lose me?
I think you're still here.
Okay. And I just lost my, sorry about that. I'm trying to get back to the website. Blake, do you have any questions that I can answer in the meantime?
it's froze on sorry, there. It's froze on your web page, or the PowerPoint. So if you just in the share screen feature, it should work. But let me go through a couple other questions for you. Will there be a brochure about the website coming out?
We don't have a brochure about the website just yet. We have some flyers and we have palm cards. We also have an infographic that we're going to update, which it provides some information about this website, and we'll make that available to you as well.
Great.
And I think you could find a version of the infographic here, I believe, about a section. I think it should be here. Yeah. So that gives you some information about the network, about the features of the site. And I'm going to tweak this to really reflect accurately how this will work. We've changed some of the names of these forms, but it kind of walks you through how it could help a victim of crime.
Remla's question: will the advocate will the advocate login button at the top? What will it be utilized for?
Thanks for asking that question. Right now, it's a static page. What we're envisioning this is it's going to be this password-protected portal that provides advocates. There's two features. One is going to be more of a training resource library for professionals, both attorneys as well as advocates. So we envision there information related to trauma-informed resources, maybe training, maybe brochures, maybe sample motions, links to other toolkits, and things that really help you as a provider for crime victims. The other section of the site, we're going to make it so that it's more information that could help one provider refer a client to another organization. So maybe you have working with a crime victim and they need a divorce and child support and family support information. But you also, because again, you're looking at their holistic needs, you're issue spotting and you're identifying that they also need help with housing and with immigration. And those are services that your organization doesn't help with. We're envisioning that there will be a part of the advocate login section that you as a professional can look at and that help you identify what other organization might be able to help that client. So you could do a warm referral to them, and so that way the holistic and comprehensive needs of the client are still being addressed. That's in the works. Hopefully, at least the training section will be available by the end of this year, hopefully by fall, and we're still working on the other section and developing what that looks like and what that entails. Blake, are there other questions?
I'm going through right now. It looks like you've answered quite a few.
I want to point out one other feature. You might notice this little thing here, bubble here, and you could find that here as well. It's our live help feature. Right now, live help is, I'm not going to do that. Live help is basically, if anyone's ever shopped online before, it's just a way of saying, hey, do you need help navigating the site? Right now, live help is staffed mostly by volunteer law students and other attorney staff from Law Help New York. They are not there to provide legal advice. They're here to help with site navigation, something that we're asking the case managers to do. So if someone says, hey, I need some information on I'm being stalked, or I think I'm being stalked, where can I find some information? That's something that the live chat helpers, volunteers can say, hey, you could find some information in the DV and other victimization section, and some resources here for you. So that's basically how live help has been being utilized. Any other questions at all?
Somebody had not a question, but just a heads up that there are some broken links, and I want to, and they indicated where they were. So I would like to say thank you and encourage if any of you also catch these to, at the end of this PowerPoint, you'll have some contact information for Remla. And I also mentioned if there's updates were needed on the OVS website, you can email ovsgrants@ovs.ny.gov to help correct those as well. So those are all great feedback things. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much about the broken links. Thanks. We've started manually going through it and realized it just takes forever because we've got a lot of hyperlinks on this site. So our tech team is trying to contract with a third party to figure out how to do that in a more effective way. I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay.
Yeah.
Is there other questions?
Somebody had a quick question about possibly seeing the list of the actual 23 counties that will be added hopefully in April.
So these are the areas. Let's see. I had the list. It's Albany, Greene, Clinton, St. Lawrence, the Westchester. It's all these counties here in I don't know what color this is. So it's reddish color and this pink color area here. And we'll. I think we can make that available after the session. Other questions at all? When do I think Long Island will be added? Not sure yet. Not sure yet. It might be earlier than we anticipate. It might be later. But we're expecting all the counties outside of New York City to be included on this site no later than October of this year.
We're also getting positive feedback, so thank you everyone for the positive remarks.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I think we're set.
Great. So don't leave us yet, everyone. I want to put my contact information, and there's just a picture of me too, because I'm sure you know me. You just might not have remembered me. And please email me with any questions. There's also a contact us page on the website itself. You could contact me that way as well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Remla. So just real quick, so everyone's aware, when the webinar is over today, you'll actually be automatically redirected to the Crime Victims Legal Network webpage, so you can play around and review much of what Remla talked about today as well. In addition, the recorded webinar, as well as much of the content and PowerPoint slides and all of this and any questions that went unanswered will all be shared in the coming weeks. Usually takes about 2 weeks to get posted on our website. We will email each of you who attended today as well a link to all of that information. And finally, I am putting a link in the chat feature just now for an evaluation survey of today's presentation. So if you can, it's like a 2-minute to 3-minute maximum survey. Please click that link and take a couple minutes and share your feedback with that. We really appreciate that. So finally, I just really want to thank Remla for putting together all of today's webinar. You did a great job, and we appreciate it. And please do not hesitate to contact us with any additional questions after the fact. But we really appreciate all of you joining us today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.